In the business, we all kind of joke with each other, but yeah, flatbedders generally get a little bit more respect. You know, we got a harder job to do. We got more work to do. So yeah, it's a little more prestigious to say you're a flatbed driver.
I am satisfied with being a flatbed driver. I think there's a pristine status in how I see it, as it's more labor-intensive creativity. To me, that distinguishes us from perhaps a van driver.
Flatbed drivers are generally compensated a little better than van drivers are, and it's a little more challenging.
Well, most places pay the same with flatbed, but with ET pay a little more. But the question for me is not the more, it's just a little more activity on it too for me. Especially when I'm strapping my load, that gives me a little more strength on my shoulder, a little more strength in my body.
Flatbed is labor intensive. Planning is more required. You're out in the weather. You got to plan your weight distributions, how you're going to secure it. And in the end, for me, it becomes a work of art where I have ownership and I'm proud of how I tie down the load and so forth.
From dry van versus flatbed, dry van you just back into the dock and sit there while you're loading. On flatbed, yeah, you're still waiting for them to put it on the deck, but you're physically strapping it down. You kind of control the speed a little bit faster of how long you're sitting there. Versus in dry van, the customers sometimes may just sit 8-9 hours or a couple hours at a time, right?
I like to have the challenge. I like the exercise. Sometimes I pull van, all I do is open and let them load me and close, but the flatbed is different. You have to make sure your load's secure and you have to keep moving around. Use your arm, use your strength, make sure your load is secured every 4 or 5 hours.
I like it. It's more physically demanding. You're not generally pulling into a warehouse with a flatbed. I do a lot of, I'm on sites, construction sites, building sites. I like that aspect of it. I'm not always just backing into a dock and just sitting there waiting.
You get to talk to the customers more often and you know, interact with people more often. In the vans, you just back to the door and get loaded and off you go. With the flatbeds, you usually go, like if you go to a construction site, you're there talking with the people and it's just a little bit more interesting, I find.
The pros are definitely the money. You know, I'm better compensated than a van driver would be. The cons are when it's minus 40 and the load has on the trailer, you have to secure it. And if it takes you an hour to secure it at minus 40, you're securing it in an hour and a minus 40. That really sucks, but that's part of the job and it's got to be done.
So the biggest con I find with flatbed driver is being out in the cold, miserable, hot. You know, there's no shade in sight when it's 40 degrees. So that is a part that I really don't look forward to on my pickups and deliveries. However, the time span's really short. You're not there very long and you're spending most of my time in the truck anyway. So it boils down to personal preference, really. I mean, some people enjoy it or hate it. I mean, there's no real in-betweens that I've found by talking to other drivers. So for me, I like it because it makes me proud to look at the load and to haul it.
I'm much happier as a flatbed driver. I plan to keep doing it for as long as I can physically. You know, only when I absolutely have to would I switch back to going driving a van.
That's just something I've always done. I've always delivered building supplies for building supplies companies and different things and steel companies. It's just what I've been always doing, so it seemed natural to keep doing it.
I started my career in flatbeds. When they had the opportunity to do flatbed here, I was stoked, I was excited.